So my name is John.dellipriscoli. If you haven't heard already, I am the new Director of Player Development and Community Outreach for Capital Soccer Club. It's a new position that we created this year. We've kind of reshuffled our management team, and I'm responsible for player development, and I'll kind of explain a few different things about that, but also community outreach. And I'm actually planning on having another meeting similar to this, where I kind of explain that part of the job. But tonight is really about explaining specifically what our player development model looks like, how it's a little bit different this year, and also some of the new programs that we've been kind of rolling out this year. So additional opportunities for players in our club. First off, there's kind of three lanes that I kind of see this position in, and really the player development model takes kind of three forms. The first is the traditional club team training, so the stuff that we see out here on Sunday nights with their coaches, with their assistant coaches, all the stuff we've kind of done in the past. The second is it's kind of like a player enrichment model, and it's called the Dragon Method. And essentially what it is these programs that we've created for players who want more training, who want more sophisticated training, who want to kind of complement the rest of their game by meaning team training that they get here on Sunday nights, and really kind of take their game to the next level. And the third is street soccer. And this is something that I can explain in my next talk that kind of links our club development model to the community outreach model. But street soccer is something where we just show up, we split up into teams, and we just play. There's no coaching. It's just we roll out a ball. Whoever gets to 3 or 5 goals first wins. They stay on the court. New team comes on, and you just play.
What are the times for that?
The times?
Is it going to stay? I think it's at like 8:15 at night.
Yeah.
Is it going to stay late?
In the winter, it probably will,
Okay.
just because we're competing with basketball teams in the gyms. And it's something actually I'll talk about at the end. Right now, it's just in Montpelier, but I want to expand to all of the towns that we serve, because in my opinion, pickup soccer specifically should be local. I like the idea of just being able to kind of walk out your house and maybe go 5 minutes to the local park or gym and play.
Yeah, because it's hard because we live in Waterbury, so
Exactly.
like he wants to do it,
Right.
but 8:15 is like
On a school night.
On a school night,
Yeah.
it's like super hard.
It's really difficult.
Yeah.
And I'll definitely get into that, and because I'm actually I'll have a request for all of you at the end to help try to figure that out for us. But first off, I'm just gonna go over kind of the goals of Capital Soccer Club, because I think it's important that whatever we do out here on the court, whether it's team training, whether it's pickup, whether it is these enrichment programs, we think about what are we trying to do, kind of what's our end game, what's our objective, what are we trying to reach. So the goals for our player development model is one, and really this is number one, to foster lasting passion for the game of soccer. So we're constantly trying to get at that intrinsic motivation in players, not just show up to soccer practice because their parents are making them go, or because they want to look good for somebody. We want players to come and play because they love the game of soccer, and we want them to carry on that love long after they're wearing Capital Soccer gear, and going into their high school or middle school or their town team. We want the players to really develop this lasting passion for the game, and that's really kind of our number one goal here. The second is to develop technical, tactical, physical, and psychosocial competencies. So really we're aiming, obviously we're a premier soccer club, we're aiming to really try to develop our players to be able to think for themselves out on the court. We don't want to coach and tell them what to do. We want to reveal the game of soccer to them, let them find it on their own, so that when they, again, stop wearing Capital Soccer colors, they can go into their team and they're soccer players. They know how to play, they know how to make decisions on their own. And the only way you do that is kind of cover the 4 key competencies, as we call them. The third is, again, we're a club, so we want to consistently produce high-functioning teams capable of playing dynamic, creative, attack-minded soccer. And we think of this as the Capital style of play. So all of our teams, we want them to have a similar style of play, and that is based on having the ball. We want our teams to have the ball. We want to impose our style of play on the other team. We want our teams to be courageous. We want them to take chances. And when we don't have the ball, we want them to work as hard as they can to win the ball back. So that's what we mean by attack-minded style of play. And that's, you hear people say, you know, we want teams to be possession-style teams all the time, and that's essentially what we mean. And then lastly, and this is obviously a big thing, and you can't really get to any of these things without this last goal, to provide a respectful, inclusive, and safe environment for learning and social interaction for all youth and senior players, because we have 2 senior teams as well. And this is really important, and us as a coaching staff, we're committed to doing this and always working to be better at this, make this an inclusive environment for everybody. In my opinion, and I hope many people in our club share this, soccer is for everyone. We want as many people playing, we want as many people having fun, regardless of who they are. And so it's our job as coaches and as a club to make sure that's happening everywhere we go. Any questions on that? On our goals? So the way that we achieve those goals, like I said, we have those 3 kind of lanes that we're going towards. The traditional club team training model, the enrichment programs, and then street soccer. I just want to talk about our traditional club team training. So myself and Peter Kim, who's the director of soccer, he's the head coach of the Middlebury women's team that just competed in the national championship against Williams and lost a narrow shootout. We've been working this summer, and we're still in the process of revamping our curriculum, and we're really trying to focus on evolving it into a methodology to teach our kids. So not just giving our coaches a big stack of papers that are activities for them to do out on the court, but really give them something that's comprehensive to figure out how do we get players to play the game the way that we'd like them to play the game. And that includes strategies in communicating to players, the way to set up teams, things like that. Another big thing is that we want consistency through our club teams. And I like to call this having a thread throughout all of our teams. And one big thing in my position as the director of player development is to literally be on the ground almost all the time at different team training sessions. So for me, it's really important. We're holding meetings with the coaches, and we're talking about the methodology and how team training sessions are going. Then they're going out there, and I'm going out there and helping them put that together. And then we're reflecting on how we can make it better. And hopefully through that system, we're seeing kind of this consistency through team to team, and not just kind of, you know, one team in Capital Soccer Club is playing a specific way, and another team in Capital Soccer Club is playing another way, and they're not related at all. We want those teams, when you see a Capital Soccer Club team, you know it's a Capital Soccer Club team. That's what we're really aiming for. And again, a big part of that is frequently held coaches meetings. Whether it's all of us in one room together, which is exceedingly difficult once the season gets going. But really what we're trying to do this year is actually have small group meetings where we get a few coaches from different teams, maybe 2 or 3 of us, and we get together as coaches and we talk about, hey, how's it going with your team? You know, we worked on possession in the final third. You know, you guys worked on it too. How's it working with you? This is what we've struggled with. Do you have any advice on how to do this better? Those types of things. So constant communication through our teams. And again, that leads to the big thing. Coaching and teaching as a profession requires a lot of reflection and analysis. And one of our methods of trying to do that this year is include a lot of video work. So we're trying to video training sessions, we're trying to video matches, we're trying to do analysis with that regard, and we're thinking about constantly how can we do it better, how can we do it better, how can we do it better, and hold ourselves accountable as coaches to make sure that if we're not seeing what we need from our teams, what can we do better as coaches? How can we help them better to make sure that's happening? Because ultimately, at the end of the day, I firmly believe it's all on us as coaches in this club to help the players get to where they want to be. And again, a big part of that will be video and offering continuing education for our coaches. But really nothing in terms of the team training sessions or the schedule is really different this year. The curriculum is varied a little bit. Peter Kim has had a curriculum in place for a long time at Capital Soccer Club. We're just kind of tweaking it a little bit. And again, one of the big tweaks is, and maybe you've even noticed it if you've been coming to the training sessions and you've just been kind of observing, we're playing a lot more this year. We're splitting up and we're scrimmaging a lot more. And we're trying as coaches to coach within the game rather than doing drills to kind of tell players how to play. In the games, we're trying to help the players figure out, okay, you're going to see this game situation in a match. Can we do that in training over and over again so that when you do get in the match, you're like, oh, we did this in training, rather than kind of doing drills and movements to cones, which admittedly are useful to develop technical skills. But again, we want the players thinking about when they get into game situations, how can we be the best that we can be. Yeah, so that's pretty much the team training. Like I said, nothing too much has changed. And the second part is what we call the Dragon Method, and these are the enrichment programs that we've been rolling out. And I've kind of been taking the lead on rolling these programs out. And at the heart of these programs, it's an effort to get individuals in our club to take measures outside their team training sessions to become better players, but really also as leaders. We want to help develop leaders in our club. And a lot of these programs that we're doing, and the first program specifically that I'll talk about, is to develop leaders that we hope will learn skills and develop tools in these classes, because really that's what they are, is classes, and then go back out into their team and bring those tools that they've learned and that they now have and bring it to their team and influence their team kind of from within. And there's really two programs currently, or two new programs that we have, and then one existing program that is kind of part of the Dragon Method. The first is called the School of the Regista, and we're actually two weeks into this now, and it's a pretty cool program in my opinion. It's modeled to develop the psychological aspect of the game and the social aspect, and again, the leadership skills. And what it's meant to be is a place where players who want to learn how to think the game, it's a place for them to come and learn how to do that. So what we do is we generally meet in the classroom for about 30 to 45 minutes. We go over some professional video. We point out little things, these little details that make great players great, and we talk about how we then can do that as players on our teams. Even further from that, or to go with that, we also talk about leadership skills. So for instance, this week we talked about using our eyes on the field. So we talked about scanning, checking over your shoulder. So that was kind of the soccer aspect of it. Because we think all good players are ones that are constantly checking their surroundings and seeing where the defense is and seeing where their teammates are. And so we watched a little professional video to see what the pros do. And then we talked about how using your eyes can actually be pretty influential as a leader and just as somebody who's developing relationships. So we talked about the importance of eye contact, specifically like when you're in a team huddle and the coach is talking to you, and the coach is always scanning around and looking for players who are making that eye contact and nodding their head. And we talk about these kind of little things that are really important. And these are things that good leaders and good players consistently show. And so then we actually get out on the court and we practice these things, so checking your shoulder and things like that. But really, at the end of the day, it's learning to think the game. We call it becoming a special athlete, and then becoming a leader of a championship level team. So that's the School of the Regista. We're in the first semester of it right now, which is going to last another 9 weeks. The second semester will start the first week of March. So if there's interest in that, the registration will again start with that. Right now, it's just for players who are 2006 and older, so it's kind of geared towards our older players. But certainly it's something in the future that we hope to get a lot of our club players in, because we think it's going to be a really useful program to, again, develop leaders who are then going to go out on Sunday nights and bring the things that they learn to their teams. And actually what we're going to do is, again, we videotape everything. We're going to make the first class that we did a couple weeks ago, we're going to make it available online for free on our YouTube channel, so people who are interested in the class can check it out, see what it's all about. And really the first class is an introduction of the baseline that we look for all players to bring to their team. And Aiden can attest to it, how good the program is. Any questions on that, the school?
Is the second semester like for new people, or it's a new course for the people who did the first semester?
It's for both. It's for
Okay.
both. So it won't be the same. It'll focus on different things. It'll look at different video. So it's for new players and for players who do the first semester as well.
So we're gonna do this session.
Yep. Yeah. Yep. And again, you know that the hours are kind of funky on this one too, because we're always competing with basketball. But this semester we had 21 players register, which I think is really good, considering right now it's 7:30 to 9 o'clock at night on Fridays. So we're asking these guys to get up there Friday nights, and they're doing a great job with it. Any other questions on the school?
Thanks, John.
Huh?
So you're doing a nice job, Susan.
So again, we talked about the 4 key competencies before that we focus on: technical, tactical, physical, and psychosocial. Again, the school is kind of geared towards the psychosocial aspect of it. The second program that we're doing is geared towards the physical aspect, and that's the Train to Compete program. And this is our strength and conditioning program. And we've had strength and conditioning here in the past, and usually it's actually been in the racquetball courts right before training has started for players. And we decided we wanted to take it a little bit different, a different approach this year. So actually what we're doing, and registration is now open for this, on Mondays or Wednesday nights at Montpelier High School. We're actually getting in the weight room, and we're going to be introducing strength concepts to players on kind of how to prepare your body and really your mind to reach your maximum level when it comes to Sunday night training and when it comes to the Far Post Futsal League. So and the program is designed by Bill Laidlaw, who has run the strength and conditioning programs here in the past. Myself and Joe Ulicki, who is one of our coaches here, is also the Harwood boys head coach. We'll be in the weight rooms on Mondays and Wednesday nights for an hour and a half. And again, this program is for players who are 2006 and older. So again, our older players. But specifically what we're doing is that hour and a half, we're really focusing on, 1, dynamic warm-ups, and then 2, going over strength movements. And a lot of the movements are Olympic weightlifting movements. And when you hear that, I don't want you guys to think that we're going to be like cranking these heavy weights over their heads and we're trying to develop bodybuilders. But these movements are thinking about getting into the athletic position and how can we generate power from that athletic position. And Bill Laidlaw is an expert on this kind of stuff. So we're going to introduce these movements to the players, add a little bit of weight. But then really, then we're going to do some metabolic conditioning. So keep the kids doing some sprints, do like workout of the day type of thing, WOD stuff if you're familiar with CrossFit, and then really focus on cooling down, recovery, and things like that. Really, most of all, so obviously we want to develop top performance when they get out onto the court or the field. But really a big part of it is injury prevention. And a lot of the stuff that we do in the weight room is going to be geared towards injury prevention and how to make sure that you're warming up properly to do some of these lifts. And then making sure that you're warming up properly to do some of this movement on the court. The lifts that we do in the weight room, we're going to specifically connect what you are doing right now with a barbell how that's going to help you on the soccer court. Or on the soccer field. So it's not just about going in there and trying to build your muscles and trying to look like Cristiano Ronaldo when you take your shirt off. It's about really making sure that you are taking this approach to treating your body as something that needs to be taken care of. And obviously injury prevention, strength building. We'll talk about how to plan your week out in terms of nutrition, give them kind of the basics on nutritional facts, give them homework to do when they leave the weight room. Again, you know, body weight stuff that you can do like that, but building up throughout the week to get to Sunday night and be at your best on Sunday nights. So again, that's on Monday and Wednesday nights starting in January for 2006 players and above. The price for that is $125 and you get 7 classes out of that. And again, the first session will be in January, the second session will start in March, and then we'll have a third session that starts in end of April or May. Yeah, so we'll have 3 sessions this year. And so this session is geared towards indoor soccer and getting ready for the futsal court. The second session is talking about the transition from indoor soccer to outdoor soccer. And then the third session will be specifically focused on 11v11. Because again, all of our players are 2006 and above, so they're all playing on the big field. So that's kind of how the progression is going. And they'll all be priced the same, so it'll be $125 per session. Any questions on that? Cool. And last thing I just want to talk about, or actually the existing program that we have that is already included in the tuition that addresses the technical side of the game is obviously the technical training. And I believe that starts once we get into the Civic Center. So it'll begin in March. But that's when they go with their entire team. It's a requirement for all of our club players. They go with Coach Eric Bagley and they do an hour of technical training work, which again is really important. The last part I wanted to talk about is street soccer. And in my opinion, the most development that I got growing up as a soccer player was not necessarily in these training sessions, not necessarily traveling all over the country to play in competitive soccer tournaments. It was really playing pickup soccer and taking risks where there were no consequences and learning the game just through the love of the game and getting as many touches as I possibly can. So what we've done, and we started in the fall, and it's all been in Montpelier so far, but we started in the fall. We went down to the Montpelier rec field on weeknights, and we actually turned on the lights, and we played on the basketball court, the asphalt basketball court. So we dragged a couple of soccer goals on. We play 5v5. A lot of times we get some music blasting, and we just go out there and we play for an hour and a half, and we just have fun. And again, it's a mix of older players and younger players. So again, in my opinion, when I feel like I learned the game when I played pickup with older players and even adults. So a lot of times I'll jump in there. Katie can attest to this, that I nutmeg a lot of people when I'm out there. It's been really fun so far. Again, you know, we think about futsal and the value of futsal and the value of pickup soccer. When we play pickup soccer, the amount of touches that players get on the ball in that hour and a half is like 100 times more than you would get in 11v11 soccer. And it's really almost a lot more than you would get even in a training session that you're having. So again, it's unstructured, it's focused around free play, it's focused around taking risks, it's focused around taking on players, developing your creativity. Right now we have it in Montpelier, 1 night a week, open to everybody, all ages, all genders. And we actually created one specifically geared towards girls because we just haven't been getting a lot of girls at the open one. So we created a space where girls can come and play. That actually happened on Friday night. You know, that was actually pretty good. We had like 15 girls there, which was pretty cool. But the big thing, and this is what I'm going to be asking parents and certainly coaches, we've been talking to the coaches, but people who live in other towns and want street soccer to come to their towns. I would specifically ask you, so in Waterbury, if we can find the people who are responsible for booking these gyms, or if there's these gyms that we don't even know about, to kind of help me get to that point where I can talk to those people. Because again, the benefit, and I live in Montpelier, so the benefit for me is that I live right across from the rec field, so in the fall, I would just walk over to the rec field and we'd play soccer. And I want that for our players in Waterbury, I want that for our players in Stowe, I want that for our players in Northfield, I want that for our players in Barry, in Williamstown, I want that for Randolph, I want that for all central Vermont. And so really, and again, you know, I can talk about this next month, but this is kind of the connections to the community outreach. Because a big part of this too is, it's not just for Capital Soccer players. So players that do play for our club, they come and play, we want them to bring their friends. And it's free. We want to be able to rent out these gyms and rent out these courts and have a place for players to come and not have to pay tuition and not have to pay more money on top of what they already are paying. And again, you know, for us as a club, it's not so much about, we're not going there, we're not trying to recruit players to come and play for our club. We're just there to roll a ball out because, again, at the heart of all of this is the firm belief that soccer is for everyone. And our biggest mission really this year, and for me coming into this position, is to create opportunities for as many people as possible for a price that is affordable for those people. And so that, I guess that's what I would ask you guys moving forward here. My information is on the website. I forgot to bring any of my cards to hand out right now. But please email me if you know of the person who runs a specific gym in a specific town that you think would be great for us to come into and run a pickup session. And I promise you, if you give me that information, I will track that person down and I will do my best to get some time in that facility. But yeah, so that's kind of the little stump speech for tonight. Again, I thought it was important for me to introduce myself since this is a new position. We're kind of doing some new things. It's stuff that I hope you can tell that I'm very excited about for the club and for our players. And I just want to continue to give our kids the best opportunities that they can, not just becoming better soccer players, but becoming well-rounded students and well-rounded players. So, thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.